Everybody's coming in.
Can you see the PowerPoint, guys?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
Very good.
There's a lot of people to be letting in, so give us just a moment. We're getting you all in. So far, we have 183 people arriving. Thank you all for your patience. We're just getting everybody into the meeting. We have almost 200 people here today to have our first boot camp for the state model. So thank you all.
I see you're all chatting it up, saying hello from everywhere.
Okay, Jim, we got 996 people in here.
Just a small group.
Yeah, intimate, very intimate. Well, I'd say we get rocking, Heather.
Okay, sounds good. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Heather Osier, the immediate past president for National Women's Council of Realtors. It's truly an honor to be able to be here with each of you. Yes, in this virtual format. However, we couldn't have asked for anything better. Our staff has knocked it out of the park. Our leadership team for 2020 are absolutely amazing in how they have pivoted and made these great programs available to you. And obviously, as you know, the plan all along here for May, it was supposed to be in Washington, D.C., but here it is from the privacy of your own home or your office or wherever you are sheltering in place at this time. You get to participate in our boot camp. So we're really excited to have you here. And this is an opportunity for us to really dive in deep and go over some great aspects of the model so that you are set up for success for 2021, because we are launching this model in 2021. And so there's a lot of things we're going to cover and over the next 3 sessions. So first, let me introduce these fabulous co-facilitators that we have here. Obviously, as I said, I'm Heather Osier. I have with me Jim DeLizia. He's been a consultant for Women's Council for just a few years, many years. He's been
there's a zero in there somewhere.
Yeah, there's definitely a zero. And he has helped guide us along from our strategic plans through our updating from the chapter to network model to the state model, numerous strategic plans. He has been an integral part of the vision of Women's Council. So thank you, Jim, for being here, and we look forward to hearing from you today. We also have the fabulous Jaime Saltman, and she is with Women's Council, and she's a consultant for us now. She's the Director of Network Engagement, and she provides a great resource to our local and state networks and answers those questions that they have in regards to operations at the network level. So she's been doing a fabulous job. She's been on board with us in this position since about November of last year. So Jaime, great to have you here as a co-facilitator. So I want to go over a couple of Zoom things. I am sure you are zoomed out in many ways. However, let's just go over a little bit of Zoom etiquette for this meeting. I want you to remember, we have you all on mute. Okay, we love you and we want to hear your voices, and we will give you opportunities in some of our breakout sessions to talk and share examples. However, when you have close to 200 people in a situation like this, we definitely have to have it muted so that obviously the facilitators can share the information we're doing. We will be using the aspect of when you have a question is virtually raising your hand, and we'll use that to ask a question. And when you raise your hand, it goes in order of who raised their hands first. So what I would like you to do at this time is please, if you click on participants in your Zoom screen, at the bottom there should be a little menu bar, and you click participants and it'll launch a participants panel. And that's where you can see the option for you to be able to raise your hand. Robin Barnes, you're already on it. I saw you raise your hand. I want you all practicing raise your hand. So please I don't want to see a visual raise your hand. I want to see the virtual raise your hand. I want to see all your blue hands go up so I know that you know what you're doing, because that is how we will know to come to you and get what questions you have. Look at you all. You're doing so good. I can see hands raised. There's more of you need to raise your hands. We've got 216 people. So please raise your hand, make that happen. If you are having issues, that is when you use the chat. The chat is only for issues. I appreciate you all saying hi to each other, but the chat is for issues. So if you have a question, you're going to use the raise your hand feature. And that, again, you find that under the participants area, and that's how we can see you have a question for us. The other piece of Zoom is we will be doing breakout rooms and polls. So this is opportunities for us to get into smaller groups and really discuss some items, as well as get some one-on-one questions, answers if need be while we're in there. And we'll be using polls. So this is going to be a really interactive session for y'all. So we're really excited about that. So I want to spend some time just going over who should be here. And many of you are in the right place, I have no doubt. This session, we're going to have 3 boot camp sessions. They're all going to be different. So don't think this is come today and don't come tomorrow. This is part 1, there's part 2, and there's part 3. All different things will be covered at that time. So we definitely want you to attend that. This session is for current 2020 state leadership team. Anybody who's been already elected for 2021 state leadership team. This includes any current governors, any future state liaisons if you've already been appointed by your state. This includes anybody who has aspirations to be on the state leadership team for 2021. Or if you just have a general overall clear interest because maybe one day in the next year or two you planning on being involved at the state level in leadership, then this is the place to be. At this session, we will not at all be discussing local network models. This is 100% focused on the state network model. So that is our focus for the next couple of days when we cover our 3 items. So as I said, 3 topics, 3 different sessions. And this is an opportunity for us to move from understanding the standards in the model. And I know you all have access to that model. It's online. At the beginning slides, Jim, can you go back one more slide for me? Because I want to make sure they know where they can reach all their great material. So if you did not, prior to coming on to the Zoom call today, download that material, this is your opportunity to go onto that link at the top there, and that is wcr.org/national.events/midyear-meetings-agendas/. And again, it's at the top of that PowerPoint screen that Jim is showing. Also this morning, you got an email with the Zoom link. That's how you all got here. That also will take you, there's a link there that would take you to this page so you can pull down the materials needed, because we will be going over a worksheet and items so that you want to make sure you have those in front of you so you can work on it. Plus, we want to make sure you have the most current, the version of the model, because we did some refinement in the model. We want to make sure you have access to the job descriptions and all the items that you'll be needed to be able to do your job from here until next year. So over the last few weeks, we've talked about the governance of the network. We did Jim and I did a Zoom a couple of weeks ago, I think, what, March, Jim? I think we did a Zoom with everybody, and we went again over the governance of the model. And we wanted to make sure everybody understood that piece, because it's an important piece to know. And that was what we were covering. However, the boot camp are focusing on 3 bigger pieces. One being the service and events that the state will conduct. And we don't mean events like how locals put on events, local networks. This is events that are specifically targeted to leadership, developing your leaders. We also, another session, session 2, is going to be covering local network support. How do we support as the state? Because the goal of this model is really all about network support and developing leaders. And our 3rd session will be going over state network communications. How do you reach out? How do you touch the local level? How do you make that piece happen so they're connected to the state level? So as I talked about, we will be doing workshops throughout these, and this is an opportunity to hear from your peers and pick up some amazing best practices for your plan for next year. And even though, I want to say, even though that the governance isn't a focus We want to really remind you of some clear deadline that is looming over you. That is a great deadline because we're really excited because this is the first time we're going to have state liaisons. Jim, can you give me a second to share that piece?
Sure. Let me stop this. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. 1 second, let me get to the. So, the state liaison. The deadline to appoint your state liaison is June 1st or before your election. So if you had your election 2 weeks ago, you had to appoint your state liaison prior to that. If you are not having your elections in your state to elect your 2021 leadership team until August, then you want to make sure that your state liaison is appointed prior to that. So online, and as you can see here, here's an example of the job descriptions of the state liaison and what they would be doing and their duties. If you have a state that has 8 or more local networks, then there will be district vice presidents that can be elected in that state, and the state liaison would work with that group as well. One of the things that was asked when Jim and I did our governance presentation a few weeks ago was that people just wanted an application process for the state liaison. Understand, this is not an interview process. It is an appointment made by the current president-elect, the person who's going to be president in 2021. So a lot of people are like, well, people are coming to me and I don't necessarily know who they are, because some people are just raising their hand and saying, I'm interested, which is fabulous. That is the Women's Council way. People raise their hand and say, I want to step up into this position. This is an opportunity, and this application/resume is an opportunity for people to fill this out so that the president-elect could look these items over and feel that they're making the best decision on behalf of their state on who they choose. So this allows for that to happen. So again, there's not an interview process in regard to this. The state liaison does not go in front of the nominating committee. This is an appointment by the current president-elect who will be president in 2021. Jim, I'm good.
Okay, great.
Thank you. So one of the key things we have to remember in regards to this piece is stepping in to the model. This is it. You've heard this time and time again with how we talked about the local network model. The old way's gone. So don't try and puzzle piece this piece in. This is the new way. This is how we're doing it. This is how we're going to be operating going into the future. We're not trying to cram something old into something new. This is it. So let's just talk about a little bit the time frame we've been going over for the last few months. Obviously, in last year, in October 2019, August through that, we got a lot of feedback. That's how we gathered the data to know what was best for the states. We obviously, in November in San Francisco, we turned around and voted on the bylaws to move forward into this last piece. Because as you know, we've changed our governance at all 3 levels. We've changed the governance at national, we had done it at local, and the piece to the puzzle that we had not finished yet was the state. So we did that in November. And obviously here we are in 2022, and your current leadership team has been so supportive and wanting you to be set up for success in 2021, and has made sure that you have opportunities to have these presentations, to have a webinar, to turn around and have these boot camps so that you can get real hands-on with the model and understand what needs to be done. There'll be additional training at Network 360 because the president-elect and the state liaison will be attending Network 360. So those 2 people, that's something new because previously only the state president-elect would be going. Now that we have a state liaison, both people will be going, and there'll be an in-depth training day on the model there as well. As we move into 2021, you are moving in to operating under the state model. This is the opportunity, this is where we do the affiliation agreement, and we work on a little bit of transition, and obviously Women's Council National will constantly be providing support to y'all for you to be successful. And then obviously, like anything, it's official compliance by 2022. The fact is, in 2021, you are operating under that, but this is just the ability that if you're having questions or issues, we can help you out during 2021. So we talk around the timeline for the model. Obviously, as you're operating now, you had to make sure you file your taxes. Yes, that deadline has been extended, but your taxes were to be filed by April. Here we are in May. We're doing the boot camp virtually for y'all, which is exciting. I covered about the importance of having your state liaison appointed and reported to national by June 1st so they can get the official invitation to attend Network 360. August, we will have the president-elect and president at Network 360. Your elections are required to happen no later than October 15th. So here we will be electing under the new model, and that is a president-elect, a first vice president, a treasurer, and if you're a state that has 8 or more networks, you can elect district vice presidents. You're allowed 1 district vice president for every 3 networks you have in your state. So in a state that has 8, that means you'd be allowed to have 2 district vice presidents. We also have, when you do your elections, you have to elect the new nominating committee. The nominating committee is very different than it was previously in previous years. So you have to make sure that happens for y'all. And then obviously between November and December, the state has to submit to the National Liaison a business plan. And we of course have developed tools and templates for you to be able to do this. We do not expect you to do this from scratch. We have worked hard to provide you some amazing tools and templates. So Jim, you want to show an example of some of the stuff that we have worked on?
There they are.
There's a lot here.
There is, and
I've
more to
got a screen
come.
here, which y'all don't see, but you're seeing it on your screen. And so you can go to this link, and these are all the tools and templates that have been created for you to work with. So this gives you, because one of the requirements is to have strategic planning committee, and we've given you a strategic planning guide and template. So how to do a strategic plan, how to make that happen, how to have state services and tools, committee procedures. We have broken it down so that you have tools and templates that you need so you can run your state as efficiently as possible.
Great.
As before I move on and hand this off to Jim, I rattled off a lot of stuff in a quick amount of time to get you started and launched, and we're moving to the next step. Is there a question that I can answer at this time? If you do, please raise your hand. Virtual hand, that is, as we talked about earlier. With 244 of you here, that's the only way we can get to your questions by you having your virtual hand raised.
Heather, we do have a couple questions.
Okay.
Carrie Hartnett, I'm going to unmute you. Carrie?
Thank you. I should probably know this, and maybe you said it, but I have written down, in a state without a state network, who is appointing that liaison?
The national liaisons. They will be elected, as you know, this coming week. We have an election coming this week. And so they'll be working with the leadership team, and they will work together, and they will be appointing in states that do not have a state network. They will be working to appoint the state liaison. A state cannot just self-choose somebody. If people are interested, obviously they can say, put their hand up. Nothing wrong with raising your hand and saying, hey, I want to be a leader. But at the end of the day, it's not the decision of a couple of networks in the state. It's the decision of the state and the national liaison, and they will present that name to the leadership team who ultimately approves that appointment.
I'm remembering it now. Thank you, Heather.
No problem. Happy to answer the question. Thank you.
Okay. Tracy Royal, I'm unmuting you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Tracy.
Hello. I just wanted to verify that these slides will be made available after for us to circle back and re-reference.
Sure. And this is also being recorded, so you'll be able to pick up anything that way as well. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Patty St. Louis, I'm unmuting you.
Thank you. Hi, it's Patty from Texas. On the district vice presidents, is it based on the number of networks the day of the election? And a follow-up to that, what happens after when you gain new networks or lose networks throughout the year? As of election and just once a year, those numbers count.
So you're looking at your once a year numbers. So prior to going into your election, it's about how many networks you have at that time. So again, you get you're allowed one district vice president for every 3 networks you have. So obviously I know Texas, they have more than 20 networks. So again, it's whatever your number is, and it's divided by, the 3. And so you are allowed one district vice president for every 3 networks. If you choose that you want less, that's your choice, but the minimum standard in the sense, because just like, as we've talked about many times, with the model, these are minimum standards to operate under. You're more than welcome to exceed these standards in that type of sense, but you're not allowed to go lower than the minimum standards. Okay, so if you want, if you have 9 networks, then you're allowed 3 district vice presidents. And we understand states may grow, and we understand over time, sometimes there's networks that are dechartered. It doesn't mean that you would lose the ability to have, for the remainder of that circle of the year, to have that district vice president, because life happens. Thanks for the
Thank you.
question. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Lynn Went, I'm unmuting you.
Thank you. Lynn Wen from Chicago. I'm just wondering if during these boot camps, we're going to review the new nominating committee rules in depth a little bit?
More in depth? No, not over this. We're not covering governance in this. However, if you have questions, Lynn, about what the layout of the new nominating committee, I'm happy to spend some time with you and go over and answer those questions with you. More than welcome to reach out and give me a call, and we can go over that piece of governance.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay, Jamie, let's just take one more.
Yep, we got one more. Lori Zabetti, I'm unmuting you.
To clarify, the district vice presidents, while you can have one for every 3 network, you do not have the option for a district vice president until you have 8 networks, correct?
That is correct. And you have to have,
Thank
it's
you.
considered, a term we use is large state. So anything that, any state that has 8 or more networks can have a district vice president.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, that's it.
Those are great
Okay.
questions. I'm handing it over to Jim.
All right, great. Thank you, guys. Hey, listen, 250 folks on this call. I'm telling you, if we were all in DC, we would not have this number. So this virtual thing has some benefits, I'm telling you. It's marvelous that you all have a chance to participate in this and get this information in chat. So I want to do a couple of quick things before we dive in. And one is to really get a sense of actually who's here. So we're going to use a Zoom poll. And Olivia, our staff monitor for this session, is going to launch the poll, and you'll see it on your screen. And you'll pick one of these choices. So the question is, let us know who you are. Choose one of the following items, and keep going down because there's another. There's an other as well. So I'll give you a couple seconds to do that. Okay, doing good. Got about 40 more to go. So choose your description of your position. Okay. Okay. All right, we're slowing down a little bit. So this is so I'm going to end the poll, and then let's share the results with everybody. Okay. So can everybody see the results? All right, so we've got a great mix here, guys. It's almost even all the way down. This is terrific. Oh, well, we have lots of others.
There's lots of others. So
We
that's
have lots of others.
Yeah.
So if you didn't see yourself on this list, welcome, other. Hopefully, you'll get a lot of benefit on this call as well. All right, so let me stop that. Okay, so let's get rid of that, Olivia. All right. One other thing I'd like to do, and I know you've all been on a lot of Zoom calls lately, and you know you're in a leadership role in really an unprecedented time, and I think we need to be mindful of this. And you know, as the world has become much more complex, even before the pandemic, the world was just getting incredibly complex, and the pace of change was quickening. And the concept of mindfulness has become a really important concept over the past couple of years, especially for leaders. And so I want to kind of do something just to take a pause before we dive in and to practice a little mindfulness. And basically what mindfulness means is being present, being in tune with your own thoughts, how you're feeling, as well as the thoughts of those that you work with and how they're feeling, because frankly, people are handling this situation very differently. And you can't assume that people are all feeling one way. And so we need to be mindful as leaders on how our members are feeling, what their circumstances is, and the different situations they find themselves in. So I thought it would be a great way to start this seminar by just practicing a little mindfulness. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to open up your chat box, and it looks like all of you have already done that. But here's what I want you to do, and I'm only going to give you just a couple of seconds to do this. But in your chat box, I want you to jot a few words that you can share with your peers on this call to let them know either how you're feeling or just a thought you have for them in these trying times. Just a couple of words, just to practice some mindfulness of yourself and of each other, okay? So take a couple of sentences and do that, and let's be mindful as we start this seminar. Great. This too shall pass. We are connected. Acceptance, patience, gratefulness, trying to stay humble. Get certain in uncertainty. I love this.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Gratitude. Yes. Non-judgmental. Thank you. Connections matter. Yes. Stay positive. We're in this for each other. Seize the opportunity. There is opportunity, even in a pandemic.
There is.
This is great. Thank you, guys. Yeah, keep them coming. But I thought it was important that we always be mindful of each other before we get into the work. And especially as leaders, this is an important quality. Okay, so let me go introduce what we're going to talk about today. Let me share my screen again. Let's get this back up. Okay. All right, let's get this live. Okay, so here we go. So the topic of the first boot camp is all about state network services and events. All the major events and services that you're required to conduct every year as a state network. And since the major focus of a state network is on supporting the success of the local networks, then many of these events kind of tag into that. They're events which help you support your local networks and help local leaders be successful. So there's actually 10 standards in the model that relate to the services and events that you as a state network are supposed to conduct. So the first 6 are on the screen. You have to conduct a membership meeting every year, an annual orientation for state and local leaders. You have to conduct some sort of a follow-up system every year so that periodically you're touching base with local leaders at opportune times where they might need support. And that's got to be systematized so it never fails. Supporting a local network in their planning efforts. We've got a great tool for you on how you as a state can help your locals do good planning. Offer an annual leadership development or training program for members. So this goes beyond just leaders, but offering members a way to get a good skill class or something to do with building their leadership abilities. Conducting an event to facilitate networking between local network leaders so that you can help them share with each other. 4 other minimum operating standards in this section of the model. Operating a leadership identification and development process. And we've got a tool for you to help what this committee would do. Support local networks in managing issues and conflicts, because we know that as a state, you're often in the best position to help a local network work through a difficult situation or conflict. Build a collaborative relationship with the State Association of Realtors and have that link there for Women's Council. And then, of course, you're the ones that normally take the initiative. If there's an area of the state that could support a new local, you're the ones that normally take the beginning initiative on that and help develop that. So there's 10 standards here. Now, to alleviate your mind right away, there's a number of these standards that you can combine together. You can combine an annual orientation with an opportunity for local networks to collaborate with each other or share with each other. So these aren't 10 separate events, but they're processes and events that you have to conduct, and they can be done in some cases together, okay? All right.
And Jim, just to add here is, as we talked about, States aren't here to compete on events against local networks.
Right,
So local networks are there to put on dynamic industry events.
right,
These are not industry events. These are
Right.
all events, as you can see everything listed here. These are events that are there to help strengthen and create leaders at the local network level, to
Right.
give them help, to make sure they're planning, to develop all the training. So that's what we mean by events at the
Right.
state level. I just want to make that clear because we've had over the years, and one of the things part of this model is the fact that a complaint was there were states competing against local networks for the type of events they're putting on. That's
Right.
not the job of the state. The
Right.
state is here to support the local networks.
Right. And in that regard, these events are all do that in some way, shape, or form. Good.
100%.
Okay. So in this session today, there's a lot of standards there. So we've picked 2 of them, which are big events that you would conduct as a state network every year. And we're going to allow you some time to kind of work on these and share some ideas around these. So the first is the annual orientation for state and local leaders, incoming state and local leaders. And the second is conducting some sort of a leadership development or training event that any member in the state could participate in. And the focus of our conversation, what we want to do is help you not only deliver good events with good information, but have those events be memorable. Because we all know we can go to a program and they can talk at us and they can give us tons of information. But in order for it to be memorable, we've got to find ways to interact and enjoy the session and have fun and really learn in a new way. So we're going to kind of share some ideas and thoughts with you about how to make those events memorable. Okay, so before we dive into the breakout sessions where we're going to have a chance to have some dialogue about this, I want to do 2 more quick polls just for us to get a sense of what you're doing now in these areas. So the first has to do with orientations. It's a very short poll. So Olivia, if you could launch poll number 2. Okay, so poll number 2 simply is, do you conduct an orientation each year for incoming state and local leaders? Yes, no, but we're planning on one, or no, we don't. So just take a quick second to do that. Okay, just a couple more seconds. Okay. All right, I'm going to pause it here. Let me end this. Let me share the results. So, by and large, the far majority of you do conduct an annual orientation, which is great. Some of you don't yet, and it is a standard in the model, so this is a good way to kind of think about how you're going to do that, and we're going to show you some samples and tools to get you started. Okay, one more poll. Olivia, if you could launch poll number 3, and this one has to do with whether or not you conduct any programs that help members build their leadership skills. So these are for all members in the state. Do you do any leadership training program that any member could attend? Yes, no, but we're planning on one, or yes, but it's really only for state and local leaders. Okay. Another couple of seconds to do that. Okay. All right, we're going to stop this right here for now, and let me share these results. So you can see that a fair number of you actually do offer a training program, leadership training program that any member can attend, and some of you just do it for your state and local leaders. So, and some of you don't do it at all. So this is a great growth opportunity for a state to continue to offer leadership development programming for members, since that's a big mission of Women's Council, and a state can certainly support that as well. So we're going to, again, share some ideas on how you might structure that and how you might do that. So speaking of which, let me introduce you to a couple of tools. I'll show you what we've got for you. Let's see, where did they go? Oh, well, one quick tool I can share with you right now. We've got, first of all, just a simple state event planning guide that gives you the opportunity to just figure out how you're going to run the event, how you're going to promote it, all the basics you need just to put on a great event. We've got a similar one that the locals have access to, and this is just, again, for the meeting planner side of you, something that's in the toolbox already, then you can absolutely share that. And one more tool I want to show you. And where did it go? Okay, let's see. Oh, no, that isn't it.
Jim, as you're looking for it, I just want to share with everyone, we love how we have still about 246 people here. I know some of you in the chat have stated that your local network leaders, your president-elects, you may be someone who's the treasurer, or you may be a local network president. And so again, the whole focus of this event, the boot camp for the next three boot camps that we're doing, is all about the state model. So we completely understand if we're doing a poll and you don't have an answer to that, and we think it's great that you're here observing and seeing how your state is moving to the next level and moving into this state network model. So it's completely okay. When we go into breakout sessions, it's okay if you are just doing a lot of observing because you don't know the answer to the questions that we're going to be asking and workshopping through, because the focus again is for current state leaders, future state leaders, past state leaders, so they understand what is going on in their state, and anyone who's interested in becoming a state leader. So that's really the focus of who's here today and who we're speaking to. We love the fact that you're interested in and wanting to see what's happening.
Okay, so hopefully you should see on the screen now, this is a brand new tool, just developed it a couple of weeks ago, and it's a tool to help state networks really think about options they have for conducting an orientation for state and local leaders and a leadership training event for members. So let me just kind of scroll through this, and you have access to this tool. Hopefully you had a chance to download this, but this is a brand new tool. So the first part really gives you some options on when you could hold these types of events, how to structure them, options for structuring them, because many of you do these meetings in conjunction with your state, for instance, and different formats for delivery, whether they're in person. These days, it might have to be hybrid, in person and virtual, or all virtual. So this gives you just some top level ideas on how to hold these events. Then, which hopefully you'll really love, is that for each of these types of events, we've given you some sample agendas. So for a leadership orientation event, we've given you a sample of a one-day agenda, as I'm scrolling through this. We've given you a sample of a half-day orientation agenda and what that might look like. And then for a leadership training event, we've given you a sample again of a one-day leadership training event agenda, as well as a half-day leadership training agenda. And then, because you can combine these events, you could offer your leadership orientation, and then some of the modules in your orientation are skill building modules, and you could open those up to any member. So here's an outline for a combined leadership orientation and training event that goes for a day and a half. So these are all mix and match, cut and paste, but just many examples of ways you can format these types of events. And then, of course, you could satisfy your leadership training requirement in your model by just doing a series of webinars related to leadership skill-based sessions. So we've also given you different examples of formats, panels, topical roundtables, spotlights, other things you can do, suggested content, what you should be including in your orientation or your leadership training event topics, and then some other just fun tips on how to make the environment in these classes fun and engaging and interactive, what you can do in the room that's fun and motivating, just a few other little tips there, okay? So that's what this tool is. So spend some time with it and see how you can really rev up your program. Okay, now let me get us into the breakouts. All right. Okay, can you see that new document on the screen, guys? Discussion worksheet? All right, check, check. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use the magic of Zoom, and we're going to break you all out into 3 breakout sessions. I'm gonna be in one, Heather's gonna be in one, and Jaime Saltman's gonna be in the 3rd one. They're still gonna be pretty large since there's 240 of you, 250 of you here. But here's what we're going to talk about in the breakout sessions. We're going to have a few questions where you can share some things about orientations, and a few questions where you can share some ideas about leadership development and training programs for members, okay? So with that being said, Olivia, we're going to spend, Olivia, let's cut the time of the breakout sessions to about 35 minutes, if we can. So in 35 minutes, we'll all come back to the main room and share what we talked about. Now, I want everybody to know, before Olivia launches these breakouts, you're all going to randomly be put in a breakout. When Olivia launches the breakouts, you're going to see on your screen a little box that asks for your approval to join a breakout. So make sure you click join. And because if you don't, you're going to stay in the main room and nobody will be there. So you're going to want to click join when Olivia launches the breakouts, okay? All right, Olivia, let's go.
Okay, here they go. Hi there, make sure you accept the breakout room. Do you guys know how to accept the breakout room? Hey, sorry.
Okay, I got put in the same one as Jim.
Okay, give me 2 seconds. Yeah, I
problem.
don't. Let's see. Did you see which one you were in?
I thought it said breakout room 3, that I was with Jim.
Okay, let me send you to 1 because Jamie's in 2. So hang on 2 seconds. I have to do that over here. Okay. Heather. Why is it not easy to find you right here? Okay, sorry. Hurrying.
Sorry for being difficult.
Nope, not you. Gosh. Let's go down to 3. Okay, yes, that other day when I did this, it was very easy to just send you.
I think, oh, for Heather.
Is that Cindy?
That's me. I think some of these people are on a telephone. That's why they're not going. One person sent that in their chat.
We should still be able to force them to a breakout room even if they're on the phone.
So I see one person who's unassigned here, and I'm still trying to find Heather. If you see Heather, well, you can't help me. I don't think.
Help.
I'm sorry. I was scared something like that.
Can you search her name at the top, Olivia? Does it have a search option at the top? No.
Yeah, the participants.
No. And when I click on your image, it's not letting me just assign you. Oh, here you are. Okay, sorry. All right, I'm moving you to 1. Okay, sorry for the delay.
That's okay. You're good.
Is it working?
I'm about to.
Mary, are you still here, Cindy?
Yeah, it looks like Mary and Trisha are only the two videos I see. Can you send either one of those?
Trisha, Mary, G. Okay, unassigned people. Let's see. Mary.
And now Sue Ann.
Hi, Mary. I'm unmuting you. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Okay, I'm going to assign you to a breakout room. You're going to breakout room 2. Sorry for the delay. Wendy Ryder.
So
going
Trisha
Thank you.
Kem and Sue Ann are the next two.
Okay, I just assigned people
Yep.
rooms. So it says people, Trisha, you should have received an invitation to go to a breakout room.
I did, but being that I'm just local, I was just gonna listen.
You
Oh, yeah.
can go in there.
Okay, okay,
There won't be anything here though,
okay.
other than my ladder. Whoops.
Okay, Cindy Sosby needs to go to a breakout room.
I don't understand. I'm going to unmute you, Cindy. Hi, did you get an invitation to go to a breakout room?
I don't see her anymore.
Okay, because she got one. Okay.
Okay,
Oh, my
how about can you see Pamela Hirschberger?
Pamela. So she's assigned somewhere, but it must be that she is.
She left her computer. So if you can't move
So
her.
if I can find her, give me a second to find her. Pamela. Oh my goodness, that was so stressful a second ago.
It's okay.
Pamela Hirschberger, not joined. We are moving her to breakout room 3.
Okay.
And
The next
Vega?
is do Ada, AIDA, and then it's Vega.
Wait a second, Cindy Reddy just joined. I'm sending her breakout room 1.
Okay, perfect.
Ada,
AIDA.
move to breakout room 2.
Okay. Then there's someone by the name just Karen.
With a C.
Karen, no last name.
Oh, as I'm going down through here, I can see people who have not joined. Let's see if this makes a difference as I just send them.
Okay, Lori Muller is joining now.
That was a little stressful, but
It's okay. These people just got stuck.
it's Lori. Go to the top and assign.
So Lori, you can put her in one of the breakout rooms.
You should be going.
Okay. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Lori.
How you guys doing?
Good. We just assigned you to a breakout room, so.
Okay. Yeah, I was on at the beginning and then I had a 3 o'clock I had to hop on for quick and now I'm back in.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Did you get the invite?
Yep, it's on my screen. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, bye.
So there's a Kathy Hall, Kathy Hall.
Okay, move to 1. If we could have figured this part out, that would have been, oh well.
Do you see the people who still need to be assigned?
I think so. As I'm going down the list, they're gray, and I'm just like clicking on them and sending them somewhere.
Perfect.
Man. Didn't I already send Pamela Hirschberger somewhere? Polly Romulus.
They're on our list here, but well, Pamela Hirschberger, it looks like she's on video, but she stepped away, so she probably just hasn't clicked the button.
So, but, okay, so there are 8 show non-video participants. I should stop my video. Okay. So these folks. I feel like I'm just resending them.
Well, why don't you unmute them or I'll unmute.
Okay. Let's start. You go with
Karen. Karen. Sarah. I feel like they may not be there. Polly. Polly.
I think
Kathy. Kathy.
Yeah, they're not there.
Stacy. So they're probably not there to accept it.
I don't know if I changed that message where I get the immediate pop-up. So, because it all happened so crazy. I was doing it. And then when I started trying, like when I broke it up and then tried to find Jim and Jamie and Heather, it was like impossible to find them.
Look at your phone.
Is that bad? Doing that?
No, look at my phone. Stacy. Hi, Martha. Everyone else is in a breakout room right now, so we're going to move you to a breakout room.
Yes, I was in the breakout room. Somehow I got kicked out. My Zoom, I'm having trouble with Zoom, so
Okay.
Zoom closed down and I got kicked out of the room. I don't know how to get back.
Okay, we can put you back in there. Do you know what room you were in?
Oh God, I was in there with Heather.
Okay, well, all right, hang on one second. Oh. Why is it not giving me breakout room 1 as an option?
You could probably put her in any room really if,
Yeah, because I couldn't find a link since you guys sent us. It was a different way that it was done. I couldn't figure out how to get back in there. So I figured, let me get in the main room and.
Yeah, that was the right thing to do.
Is it not assigning you?
No. Yeah, I got kicked out during the original meeting. I got kicked out twice, but I was able to get back in. I don't know what's wrong with my Zoom. I just keeps kicking me out.
All right, let's see. Okay, try now. Is it assigning you?
Nothing.
I have no idea because it said that you were in.
I was in.
Breakout room 2, and then it's like your grade and it says you've not joined.
I haven't, the first time I received an invitation and it said join, and I joined it, and I was directly sent to that breakout room, but now I'm just not getting anything.
Did you try clicking on the dots above your name, you know, those like 3 white dots?
Okay.
It should be in the upper
Stop
right.
video, mute my audio, pin video, high self view. No. It doesn't say anything about
And
anything.
there's nothing at the bottom.
Yeah, no. It's okay, I guess. I'm just gonna miss the. Oh wait, I think I found it.
Okay.
Oh, good. Yes. I wish you would have told us.
Okay.
All right, Jennifer.
We just had someone else join.
Yep.
Lynn. Jennifer Lynn.
Yep. She's gone.
Jennifer. Jennifer.
I just sent her a invite to.
Oh, she went to a room.
Okay.
Should we unmute these people in case they come back? Stacy? Stacy?
Okay, Judy Myers.
Judy Myers.
Joining, and then I'm going to assign her to breakout room 3. She'll come into the waiting room. Hi, Judy. If you are joining us, I don't know if you can hear us. You probably can't yet. Hi, Judy. If you are joining us, you're going to be redirected to breakout rooms. So please accept that. Is she here?
Okay. Pamela looks like she's back.
Hi, Pamela. You were sent an invitation for a breakout room. Do you still have that invitation?
I do.
Okay, if you want to go to the breakout room, you can accept that.
Shut up, please.
Okay, muted that one.
Have all these people been assigned to a room, Olivia? They just need to accept it?
Yes, everyone in the waiting room currently, you received an invitation to go to the breakout room. If you would like to participate in today's activity, you need to accept that invitation, or you can send us an email and we can help you troubleshoot. Hi there, just a reminder, if you are on here and you meant to be broken out into the breakout room where the activity is taking place, please send us a message and we can help send you over to the breakout room as you've already received an invitation. Hey, Cindy, it's Olivia. Were you assigned to a room already? Hang on, let me
in room-
unmute. I can
think
hear
I
you.
was in room 2, I think.
Okay, let me
With,
send you
with
back.
Jamie. Jamie was heading it up, so
Okay, I think that was it too. Okay.
thank you.
Uh-huh. Hi, Wendy, we're assigning you to a breakout room. If you'll accept, you'll be redirected there.
Hi, Stephanie. Everyone is in a Everyone's in a breakout room right now, so Olivia's going to move you into a breakout room to join the others.
I was on my phone in that breakout room. I just didn't know. I thought it might transfer over. So.
Oh, gotcha. What room were you in?
Shoot.
You,
red hair.
Red hair, Jamie.
Okay.
Okay, I'll send you to breakout room 3.
Thank you.
Women. Hi, Mackenzie.
Oh, hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Everyone who's on the call or on the Zoom has been sent to breakout rooms. So we're going to send you into one of the breakout rooms, and then you'll rejoin as a full group in a little bit.
Oh, perfect. Sorry, I was trying to get on it on my iPad and it would not let me in for some reason. But then I'm like, I'm just trying on my phone. So it worked.
No worries. Olivia, will you send her into one of the rooms, please?
Sorry about that. I just had to walk away for a second. I don't know if it's worth it actually now because we have 47 minutes until, or minutes, 47 seconds until they come back.
Oh.
What do you think? I mean, at this point, we have 36 seconds. I'll just, by the time you got there, it would just open up and they're coming back into this room. So you might just want to hang tight for a second.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's see. We're still missing the third session. Jamie, I see you back with your group.
Yes, I
We
got
lost
rock
Heather.
stars. I
We
have
lost
some
Heather
rock
in the-
stars.
Heather is lost in the virtual world. We lost our past president.
She left us.
She left us. All right. Well, we're gonna get started. I'm sure her. Well, let's wait 1 second to get her group back too. Olivia, see if you can rustle them up.
Okay, I see that it says all breakout rooms will close in 37 seconds. Did you
Okay.
guys accept the closing earlier? Or?
Oh, okay. All right.
I went by the timer on the top of my screen.
So did
Olivia.
I. So did I. All right. We'll wait. We'll give them 37 seconds.
Okay.
And then I was unsuccessful in sharing my screen, but my group got it.
Oh, good. Then you got some good points for us.
Yes, we were a very lively group, and we just
Good.
didn't get to the last question, but they're all
That's-
thinking about the
all right.
answer to the last
All right. That's okay. That's okay. I tried to take some notes on the screen. My typing wasn't that great, but I did capture some notes. There's Heather.
Hi, I'm back. I got some great
Hey.
notes. I had 72 people.
I know. Some intimate breakout that was.
It was absolutely awesome.
It is. It was very, very awesome. Guys, you navigated breakouts in Zoom. See, it's going to be old hat from now on. All right. So I'm going to ask each of us that facilitated the breakouts just to highlight 2 or 3 really cool ideas that came out of the breakouts, just so that we can all kind of cross share just a little bit.
Okay.
And then we'll get other comments that you may have, and then we'll close out with some actions and other pieces of information. So Jamie, do you want to start and kind of share a couple of cool things that came out of your discussion?
So one of the great things, well, obviously somebody said, we're talking about the first question, or you want the whole thing?
Yeah, go ahead. Start with orientation. Go ahead.
Okay. So several of them use role playing with regard to the state positions, just
Mhm.
trying to get an idea on what it takes to be an officer at the state level. Somebody else uses the body part game. We've all seen that one, the ear, the eye, the nose, whatever, right? And so that one's always fun because it gets the group interactive and talking to each other. Somebody else uses, let's see. Oh, your paper bag game, Jim.
My
With the
paper
stuff
bag
in the
game?
bag, your paper bag game. The stuff, and then they got to sell something right out of the
Oh,
bag.
okay. All right.
And there you go. So that was some of the ideas from that question.
Okay. So give us a few more bits about orientation and then we'll go on to Heather.
Lots of great things about doing a game show and really trying to get people for it to be fun.
Right.
Not so dry, because a lot of this information can be very dry, but the key is to get people having fun with each other, that networking piece that comes into learning,
Right.
that will make it a lot more fun for people to really grasp on, because we all learn, I think, better typically by interacting and chatting and laughing and having a good time. And so I think that people learn better that way. They grasp onto it.
Yeah.
There was also an idea, the blink game. So you can buy something called a blink game, and it's basically, I think it's 3 things: color, shape, and number of items. And it's like a game of war. And, and you do it around table, but it ends up being just a couple people that are playing war at the table. And so it breaks up the monotony of talking about the same thing all the time, but yet you can really see how maybe competitive people are, what kind of sense of humor they have. So I think that it just really is about getting people to interact with each other.
Good. Excellent. Excellent. Great. Heather, any other ideas that came out in your group about orientation?
We lost her.
We lost Heather.
She's in the waiting room.
Is she really?
She was.
Okay, Heather, are you there? Okay. Well, as we look to find Heather, I'll go on with my group. A lot of similar thoughts. We talked a lot about the fact if you can give people an experience around the information rather than just telling them the information, they'll remember it much more. All the things that Jaime mentioned, plus the use of things like case studies, where they have to figure out whose role it is by reading the case and figuring out whose job is to do what. Mentioned the gamification is huge, with trivia games and Jeopardy and puzzles. One group does puzzles where there's pieces missing and they have to work with different teams to find the piece and negotiate, which I've said realtors ought to be really good at.
Yes, we had that one as well.
Yeah, I mean, just really, really fun ways to, one of the groups does a role play of a board meeting with Robert's Rules. And it's scripted, so there's intentional mistakes that are made. And you have to find the mistakes. You have to figure out what went wrong. And I guess then they process it and they share the mistakes and that kind of thing. So information does not have to be dry. It really will be much more memorable if you can get people engaged. Other things that came up on helping leaders learn from each other. Position-specific breakouts was a big one, where they can share, president-elects can share with president-elects and that kind of thing, do a little mini masterminds. This was a terrific idea. Let each local network, one leader from each local network, present something that the network is really, really good at, something they're just killing it. And that way they get recognition for doing something really, really well, but then everybody else in the room says, if I have a question about X, I'm calling that network because they've cracked the code. So that was a really great idea. Doing skits with themes to learn about personalities and teamwork and communication. You guys are just topical roundtables where you get a chance to go to 3 or 4 different roundtables based on the topic you're interested in, and then share best practices that come out of that discussion. There's so much you're doing to take good information, dry information in some cases, and make it really memorable.
Jim, one of the things I had in mind.
Yeah, Heather.
Hi. They talked about doing speed dating with past presidents. So when they have their orientation, they bring in their past presidents to be part of it. And they typically bring in the national president. They do a time that speed dating so that they go around to different tables and they can ask the past presidents any questions about leadership, their path, how they got there. Same with the national president. So they get to get some information that way. So it's just a very dynamic way to interact. And
Yeah.
obviously, as you talked about, the team building exercises that are so important, and to understand at the local level. And yes, maybe as we have developed as state leaders, we have done this time and time again, but for local people, they've never maybe done a DISC assessment. They may not know their personality style and this personality style of their team. So how do you do that and have the team building exercise that go around that piece? And another great one that they do is, and this isn't a larger state, but they have all the local network presidents put on an industry event at that event. So one of the nights is dedicated to having an industry event. So it's, in essence, it's a mock industry event modeling exactly per the local model of what it's supposed to look like. And they're putting it on there so they can get a feeling of what the touch, the feel of exactly what this is supposed to look like.
Fantastic. That's really great. Yeah, there was just so many great ideas. You guys have been so creative. The one area where some of you were doing some work, but a lot of you weren't yet, and that is finding ways to offer leadership development skill training to any member in the state. And some of you had done some interesting topics and delivered in certain ways, but there was a lot of just learning here. So Jaime, was there anything on the leadership development side that came up where any member could attend?
Lots of stuff. We had lots. There was a lot. So public speaking, we think that that came up a couple times in giving the members an opportunity to develop a very quick speech. It could be by roundtable. It could be you give them a subject and they present a very short 2-minute, 1-minute speech in front of the body or in front of a group of people to be able to evaluate what their presentation is. That came up. Certainly a DISC assessment to make sure that the local leadership understand their personality and the types of personality they might be dealing with and how you deal with those personalities. And there's lots of those sorts of personality tests around, depending on which one you would like to use.
Conflict management.
Zoom classes. So you could continue some of the training with Zoom classes. Following it up. Obviously, we know it can be done now. The position-specific breakout stuff, that's always really helpful. And it's really about, let's see, what else did we have that I missed? I can't even speak today. Position specific, you got it, right? And it's just about getting people to talk, especially those folks that maybe they're sitting the quiet ones. And sometimes those are the folks that really are deep in thought trying to figure out the whole process, and they've got some really great ideas. So how do you get that quiet person to speak? And so if you're at a round table, maybe that's the person that takes the notes and reports to the group instead of the person that's always the gregarious one that said, I'll do it, right? So you get the quiet one to kind of speak up, and that's how you get people engaged.
More comfortable. One little tag on the idea of the presentation training. One of the breakout folks brings in a Toastmaster to do some Toastmaster training. But the twist was really cool that the next day, those who went through the Toastmaster course are the ones that get up and do the pledge and the morning message. And so they actually go through the presentation training, and then they actually take on roles the next day and practice what they learned. I thought that was really simple, but really, really effective on that regard. And then we just had lots of great ideas. We had some other ideas on how to engage your strategic partners in this kind of work. Because a lot of them are in companies where they have trainers and they have people who can deliver, information and training. And a lot of the folks on the Breakout really do a great job at giving strategic partners the opportunity to be part of these sessions and do some video and do some speaking during virtual meetings as well. Heather, anything else on your side for leadership development training?
For leadership development training, they suggested reaching out to the national leadership team, because especially during these times, they are available to put on Zoom presentations. Also reaching out to the state association leadership team and have them speak on a topic. And one of examples we talked about is there's many people who've moved up from Women's Council, they've moved up and on into state leadership at the association level. And they have a great story to tell about how for them it all started at Women's Council. And so they can talk about their leadership journey and share back with them. Maybe having a panel that covers, that really is the mission statement. And one of the states recently did that, and they had a panel in which they touched every piece of the mission statement, which is someone they all got their start at Women's Council, but how one went into association leadership, one went into community leadership, one went into really deep into different types of industry relations. So how did they, each of those puzzle pieces develop for them, because they got their start at Women's Council, and what they learned from Women's Council, and how they took that to their journey in this next piece, because we developed Leaders Are Made Here. And so they were living that hashtag Leaders Are Made Here. So that was a great way to make it interactive and fun. And also another suggestion was sometimes we want to hear from people outside the real estate industry. So not necessarily people who got their start at Women's Council, but powerful women outside of real estate, and especially any of your government officials who are women who have made a difference. How did they take their path? What did they do? And how did they get leadership skills and training over time?
Yeah, just really highlighting the pathways is really powerful. Those stories are incredible on what varying journeys people took to get where they are. It's very inspirational, but very informative too. And the only other thing I would say, well, there's so many ideas, but the only other repetitive idea was that in this virtual world, a lot of the states and the locals too are trying to do like weekly touches with members. And so they'll do, the Zoom meetings, but it'll be under the guise of a happy hour, but they'll also bring on a short speaker who can do something quick on body language or use of video or safety or something related to kind of leadership or another important topic. And then they'll close with a presentation by a strategic partner who can weave all the themes together. So to not lose touch with those important people too. So just doing some great work out there. One of the questions
that's been asked in the chat is, I know I took notes on the screen for people to see in this breakout session forum, and they want to make sure that these are available, these ideas. So we will make sure that we get them to the staff, and then you can see an example of what was talked about here along with the slide that we've been showing.
That's terrific. Yeah, I tried to take, as I said, my typing wasn't the best, but I tried to take notes right on the screen and capture a lot of the conversation. So we can put these together and add to the menu. Actually, what we might do, Heather and Jamie, we'll take that new tool, the best practices tool for orientations and training, and let's add these tips to that tool. So now everything's in one place.
Yeah, my notes are handwritten, so I did manage to do that and monitor mute and unmute and hand raised and whatever.
We'll pull it all together and offer it, and we'll get it as part of the tool. All right, so let's go back to just, we've got a few minutes just for.
We have some questions. So
okay, good. Let's do questions.
I'm reading just a question in the chat that they said they generally have a motivational speaker, someone highlight a cause. And it usually takes about 45 minutes to an hour and a half, leaving with little time for breakout sessions and really view step-by-step handoff. It's frustrating not having enough time to train incoming leaders. And can you touch on that? And I will answer that right away without hesitation. The state model, as you look at it moving forward, is really about training your leaders. And that is the core focus of any orientation you have. Once you've made sure you're doing your training, your handoff, your position-specific training, whatever it is, if after that you have time to bring in a motivational speaker that may speak for half an hour, then do that. The priority is that. Remember, the state is not here to put on an industry event like they would at the local level. That is what the state network is here to do. When you look at the model and everything that we're asking you to do within the state model. So that is the core of any annual orientation / leadership event that you have. That is the #1 piece of it. The fluff, and the fluff is wonderful because it makes people feel good and warms their heart. That's if you have time. So when you're designing this, go back and look at the template that Jim developed.
Oops.
I have a question when she's done, Jim.
Okay, go ahead. You froze a little bit there, Heather.
You froze, Heather.
You were talking about the template.
Okay. The template. So make sure you use the template that Jim has provided to make sure that you are using that to model what it looks like, whether it's a half day, full day, day and a half, because you'll see that that is very specific about what's to be spoken about, taught about, shared about, versus having the motivational piece, the warm fuzzy
Yeah.
piece. If you have time, wonderful, but that's not the priority of why we're talking about these orientations.
Yeah, and one thing I would say about using any kind of speaker, really, you know, you're in control. You know what you need to cover in that training or that orientation. And if you're going to use anybody from the outside, you need to give them very specific guidelines on how they can talk about something that's really going to complement and make the overall experience better for your members. So even a motivational speaker, you know, they need to, their topic needs to make sense in the overall session that you're doing to add value to the members. So you're in control of that.
Well, especially, and part of that question was highlight a cause. That's not what Women's Council, that's not the base, that's our mission statement. Our mission statement is to develop leaders. And
Right.
so anybody you bring in, as Jim said, it should be leadership specific to what we do. And that's
Right.
the base. Leaders are made here. We're not, and not that causes aren't important.
Right.
It doesn't, in what we're talking about here, have any place for what we're trying to do. And
Okay.
if a state has questions about that, please give us a ring. We're happy to answer the questions in regards to
Okay.
that.
Looks like we've got a question from Jacqueline Knight. Is that right,
Jacqueline, I'm
Jamie?
unmuting you.
Okay. Go ahead, Jacqueline.
Oh, great. Thank you. So, I mean, I love all this. I think it's really good to hear that. And I love the fact you're saying there's none of the, I love warm and fuzzy, but not all the time.
Right.
In terms of funding though, so typically the state's been looking to put on a couple of events to do the fundraising to support themselves. How is that, what's the recommendation then for the funding for the state?
As a separate event or just as a function you need to do, you need to take care of? Are you still there?
I mute her.
Okay. Hold on.
Hi.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry. So, well, we don't want the state competing with the networks in
Right.
terms of events, and I understand that. So, typically the goal has been to try and put a couple of events. We were working on trying to do an event this year to raise the funds to support the state network so that we can send our leaders to the conferences and those types of things. So I'm just wondering, how is that done if we're not doing a typical network event that would do that fundraising? Does that make sense?
I'll answer that question for you.
Go ahead.
So obviously
Thank
you
you.
have the dues that come in. So you'd want to make sure you're looking at your state dues that you're charging the members to make sure they're in line with today's standards, price point where they probably should be. If they're really low, it may be something you'd want to look at adjusting. The other piece is just like on the local level, we have created a strategic partner template for you all at the state level. Your strategic partners are really important at the state level. This is what's going to help raise those funds. If you're doing something in conjunction with your state association, let's say your meetings at the same time and they have an expo, you could always do a fundraiser in conjunction with that. Some states do at their state meetings, they buy a luxury item and auction it off, and that helps raise money. So you have to be creative. Just make sure you check with your state rules in regards to raffles and whatever permits you need to get. But that's the type of stuff you need to be doing as a state. That's
Thank you.
what you want to be doing.
Thank you.
Because again, you do not want to be putting on an industry event like the locals do. You're not hiring a motivational speaker and charging your local leaders $50 to come to this event. That's your job as a state. When you're gathering your people together, the job is to turn around and train them. So make sure that you're charging them a reasonable amount to come to these events so you can get the correct training that they need. So Jamie, there was one question in the chat that someone asked if the local networks, are they using the state bylaws or will they have their own specific bylaws?
I saw that.
Yes. Well, let's just do a quick understanding of bylaws. The local networks have their bylaws that match the local network model. The state has their bylaws that match the state network bylaws. The locals don't use the states and the state don't use the local. They're completely separate. They're completely different operating models. So you have to make sure not only the bylaws are your general governance. Whereas the model, which is almost like a set of standing rules, your model is what you're following. So the local is going to follow their model and their bylaws, and the state's going to follow their model and their bylaws.
Yeah, because the structures are different as well. So
Very
you
different.
really need to be using your own bylaws.
Use your own bylaws, you use your own model. They're not one and
Okay.
the same. They're not interchangeable between state and local.
Okay, we have a question, a hand raised, Jamie.
Yes, we do. Polly, I'm unmuting you.
Polly Romulus,
Yes.
go for it. You're unmuted, Polly.
Polly, are you there? All right, we're going to mute Polly back up. And Tracy Royal, we're unmuting you.
Oh, we're trying.
Tracy,
There we go. Go ahead, Tracy.
I just wanted to quickly piggyback off of what Heather mentioned with the person who wanted to know how do you fundraise or how do you, do that at the state level. This is really a good time to start building your relationship with your state association. Here in Illinois, we have over the years really have built a really strong relationship with our state, and they are a huge supporter of us. And what do? We encourage most of our leaders at both the local levels and at the state levels. That's a good way to segue into what are the state events that's coming up, and we encourage participation so that they can get more involved at the state level and know what that looks like, and they become good candidates for committees that are coming up. In addition to that, all the members who belong to local associations, we look and encourage them to try to build that relationship at the local level also. We want the local associations to support their members as they're moving in the different leadership paths within our industry. So those are two really good places where you can get strong support. You encourage your members to start stepping up, participating at the local and state events, and then they just become good candidates. And when the application period comes around, it's like a no-brainer. In Illinois, we look for, when our state and local leaders are looking for leaders, Women's Council is the top of the list because they know what we do. We do not get paid for it, and they know we do it well. So that's always a good place to start.
Yay!
Thank you, Tracy.
Can we capture that in a testimonial?
Okay, Lori Zabetti, I saw that you have a chat going on and you have a question. So this is a time to get your question answered. Now, for some reason, it won't let me unmute you. Can you unmute yourself?
So I'll read Lori's question.
Okay.
Oh, there she goes. There she goes.
Okay.
Right. It was about strategic partners. If we, so I'm a little, need some clarification on the fundraising on a state level. We've done things like Cocktails with Champions, where we get people to donate their time and then we auction that off, usually in conjunction with a state association convention.
That's great.
Is that appropriate?
Well, here's the thing. If you're having like a day and a half event, and this is one of your evening events, like that's a little different. It's sort of a networking event, and you've had the Cocktails with Champions, you're raising funds, you're giving an opportunity for your leaders to get more leadership training because they've chosen to auction their work, to auction on someone who has something to contribute. That's fabulous. That works well. I think the other question you had in there was in regards to your strategic partners, do they get exposure at the local level? It depends. Some states have done that they provide, they just list on if they're visiting an event, they say, here's our state strategic partners. Now remember, sometimes state partners may be very different than the local partners. Someone is local specific. That's what they're doing. They're there locally specific in that community, whereas your state is someone who's all across the board. So it's not that they can't list the state partners and say, here's the state partners. So it's just information sharing, but they shouldn't understand that doesn't give them, remember our strategic partners are not members. Their strategic partners are people that we're featuring because they've chosen to partner with Women's Council.
Right.
So it's okay to conduct some fundraising to be able to take more of our state leaders to conventions.
I think that I will give the same mantra I've given regarding the local networks. Your fundraising should first off be in benefit for your local networks. In other words, you're doing it because you want to bring in a dynamic speaker that's going to teach leadership skills to your local network so they can develop as leaders. If And when you have enough funds, yes, we definitely want to see your state leaders at the national events. However, to say that Women's Council fundraises so we can travel people is one of the most uncomfortable things that people outside of Women's Council look at us and think of us as that's the only reason we're raising money. So we have to be very careful in how we word that. I get what you're coming from, and I know that's an important aspect. We just have to be really careful because we want to make sure we are giving it back to our members first, and then we turn around and make sure that the additional development happens.
So the concentration, if our state has a healthy balance of funds, we should be using that money to support our local networks.
Support the local networks in the sense of, okay, today we spent the whole day on the orientation and the leadership development. So how could you translate the funds that you have to put on an event? And it shouldn't just be a half-day event. If you're telling me your state has these type of funds, it should be a full. Texas puts on a 3-day event. California puts on a 2-day event. How are you funding that type of events to bring in the right people? And yes, typically you may be charging your local networks to attend, at least because, you know, putting money in means they're going to show up doing that type of stuff, but not making it such a high price for them to attend. Sometimes you're providing some food or some snacks and those type of things. You're bringing in that piece.
Okay.
So, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have one more question, Jim, if you'd like to.
Yes, please.
Jerry Little, I'm unmuting you. For some reason, I cannot unmute. There we go.
There she goes.
I'm unmuted. Yeah. Okay. So here's my question. So right now, all the state.
Oh, my fault. Sorry.
Hold on, Jerry.
Sorry, my fault, Jerry.
Are we good?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay. Am I too loud?
Nope.
Okay, awesome. So right now, our bylaws on the state side are under the chapter. We're all chapters, and we're changing that model now to the network model.
Your bylaws were already changed and adjusted in November of 2019 when we voted on those bylaws at the San Francisco meeting. All your bylaws were changed. So your bylaws currently for any state across the nation reflect the new model. They do not reflect the old model. If your state does not have a copy of that, they can go to their state-specific site provided by Women's Council, and those documents are there under documents. If they still can't find them or having issues, then they just can contact Rob at National, and he'll make sure they get a copy of their bylaws.
Okay, well, that answers my question. I was thinking that the National was going to provide us with bylaws and we were going to go use those, but I just wanted to make sure that we were not supposed to do our own.
No, bylaws are delivered by National, and they have already been delivered to all the states. All 23 states have been delivered their bylaws early in the beginning of the year, because like I said, when we voted on them in November in 2019, at that moment, the minute you vote on bylaws, those bylaws go 100% into effect. So technically, operating under the old network, the old chapter model for the state, technically every state network is in violation of the bylaws. We have at this point saying to you, this is your transitional year. We're training you so you don't have to do this. But here's the things that you need to do to be ready for 2021. Okay. As in regards to standing rules, that's what you develop as a state. And we're working on some standing rules templates for you as a state so that you can see the basic standing rules that need to be in place that match the model, because I can guarantee you any standing rule that any of our 23 states have right now are 100% probably in conflict with the new model. So we're going to help you and make sure you have the tools to set you all up for success so that you have standing rules that match the model.
Okay, thanks. That's what I needed.
Thank you.
Christine Pappas.
Hi, thank you for taking my my question here. I wanted to go over this travel a little bit more, because I would say that certainly in our state and probably in many states, the travel is probably one of the largest budget pieces of expense that states have. The president and the governor has the opportunity to vote at national. So naturally, people are under the impression that those two positions definitely have to go at least once a year. However, I know that in our state, it has been, widely pushed that all of our state officers travel to Midyear and national, and it's definitely a strain on the chapter or the network. I apologize, the state network. I'm an oldie, so I still say chapter every once in a while. I would love it if our national guidance could really dig more into this state travel, what's really required, how can we alleviate some of this? And I think that would also alleviate some of the stress on the states.
I'll take that question on. So as we go into the new model, we don't have governors. So we will have the leadership team, which consists of 4 people, your president, president-elect, your first vice president, your treasurer, and the state liaison. Yes, we have 2 meetings a year at national, and we would love to have your state leaders there. Also, if you have your state network and you have district vice presidents, we would love to see them there as well, because that is additional training that's provided on the national level, just like we're doing here. If we were in person, this event would be in person, doing this with our state leaders. So what I want you to understand is, yes, we want you there. And we understand on the state level that fundraising needs to happen. Some people, again, put on luxury purse auctions. I've seen Arizona and Colorado, they put on, Utah put on the champions, being able to auction off that piece, and they raise money that way. So there's creative ways to raise this money so that you can do that. And yes, travel is expensive. And so that becomes a huge budget item. What we want people to remember is the fact that, and again, we say at the local level, you have to be giving back and training your people. If you're training your people correctly, you're providing value, you're going to keep people as members, which means your member dues are going to come in, which will help that funding piece. You're reaching out and tapping into your strategic partners. It's also about how you have that conversation and you publicly talk about it. Yes, a lot of the money that's raised helps provide the travel. But if that's the leading statement we say out to the Women's Council world and to people outside of Women's Council, that the reason we fundraise is so we can travel our members, it leaves a bit of a bitter taste. So how do we reframe that conversation so that we can make sure that we are doing the right things, that we are raising funds, and that we are training our leaders correctly and making sure they are able to come to the national meetings, as well as know that we are spending money and putting an investment into our local networks so that we are training these leaders for the future. I hope that answers your question. If you have more, Christine, I'm happy to answer them at any point in time, and I know your national leadership team would be happy to answer those questions for you as well. Jamie, I see we have another question.
Coster has a question. Cindy, unmute yourself.
There you go.
I was just going to kind of echo maybe what you're saying, but in a way that if we start all of our meetings when we come back from national and state conventions with a summary of what we learned and how what we were trained on affects, moves, and shakes you in the local level, you as your member, then perhaps some of that distaste about paying for travel is just that. You're paying for a group, a 3-5 people to go absorb information and pour right back into the members. So maybe if we're getting pushback on that level, it may make you take an inner look and say, how am I utilizing what I've been given the opportunity to hear in person? How am I replaying that for our membership so that there is not that discord? Just a thought.
Thank you. Yeah, and there's one in the chat. One of the people wrote, Eileen from California, says we no longer call it travel, we call it training. It's all about the spin.
Yeah.
How you word it, it's how you say it. You have to be very strategic in what we do so that we make sure we get our message across correctly.
Yeah, but Cindy makes an excellent point. There ought to be a responsibility for every leader who goes to these meetings and is supported in doing so, that they come back and think about the 5 or 6 tips or 5 or 6 things that they learned that would benefit every member, and that there's a way for them to kind of deliver that information. It should be a responsibility.
Yes, it should be.
And it's because it's an honor, and it should be a responsibility on the back end.
100%.
No questions at this time, Jim.
Okay, let me share, let me go back to the couple of closing slides here. Okay, let's go. Here we go. Whoop. All right. So we just wanted to close by saying, you know, fabulous job. We will capture the ideas that were shared and add them to that tool on the 2 topics that we covered. So we're obviously going to have a couple of more sessions that will focus on some of these other things as well. For example, the 3rd session is about state communication, and we will talk about building productive relationships with your state association. So that question came up. You'll hear much more about that in session 3 on Wednesday. But after each of these sessions, we're going to try to give you a couple of things to think about and go back and work on with your leadership team, because this is your time where you're really prepping for 2021 and you're planning with your team to have a really, really smooth transition this year and a great year next year. So today we talked about services and events, your leadership orientation, and your leadership training program, which again, many of you don't do now, but you'll need to think about how to do that. So 3 things you might want to take away from and act on from our session today. 1, find 3 new ways to make your orientation more engaging and fun. Boy, did you hear some terrific ideas in this program. So find 3 new ways that this fall's orientation or next fall's orientation is going to be a lot more engaging and fun. Number 2, incorporate local leader networking opportunities at events, whether it's roundtables, topical roundtables, job-alike breakout sessions, mingle and meet, and icebreaker activities. Find ways to help those local leaders connect with one another, because they will be supporters for each other the entire year. And at the state level, you're in a great place to facilitate that. So every state event you put on, think to yourself, how are we providing some intentional networking opportunities for our local leaders to get extra value out of this event? And then number 3, identify 1 critical skill your members need to be successful as women business leaders right now, and deliver it. Whether it's a webinar, whether it's a breakout session at an orientation, whether it's a separate event that you conduct in conjunction with the state or another group or collaboratively. Let's start giving our members the value we promise in the mission statement, which is to build their leadership skills as women business leaders.
100%.
So if you just do those 3 things as a takeaway from this session and you're planning for next year, you'll be well on your way.
And just to cover, Jim, just a couple of things. Yes, the slides will be available in a PDF form for you to be able to download so that you can see what we talked about today, and any of the information that we shared, and as we talked about, the tools will be available for you after this session.
Great. Session tomorrow, part 2. This is not a repeat. This is a whole separate session. Part 2, we're going to focus, whole new topic. We're going to focus on systems and tools and strategies for you as a state to better support the success of your local networks, whether that's helping them with planning, helping them resolve conflict. We're going to be gathering a lot of great information from you to put together a whole suite of tools around this particular topic. So tomorrow, 3 o'clock to 4:15 Central Time, that'll be the next topic, the next session. So any other thoughts or questions? We just have 30 seconds here. I think there was 2 more hand raises. I got to take my share off here.
Yes.
All right, let's try to answer 2 more quick questions.
Joy? Oh no, Peggy Pentecost is unmuted right now.
Just
Okay.
wanted to know where we find the Zoom link for tomorrow's session.
It will be emailed out every morning. Women's Council National is emailing out just like you received this morning. Depends on your time zone. I think Central it's around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or around 6 a.m. in the West Coast. You're getting the links for the day, the Zoom links that you need. So you'll receive that tomorrow.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Peggy.
Keep an eye out for it.
Joy Lucado. You should be unmuted.
Joy Lucaduvia. I am.
Thanks.
Sounds
What a
like,
great name.
sounds like lucky to be ya.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I printed off all of the documents, and yes, tomorrow's tomorrow's session 2 discussion worksheet has the same questions as today. Will we get a new one tomorrow?
whole different questions, whole different discussion worksheet,
Well,
whole different set of questions on local network support. No repeat
Thank
from
you
today
for
at all.
telling us. We'll double check that.
Yeah, we'll double
Yeah.
check it. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate that.
okay.
Okay,
Kay,
Merck.
I'm unmuting you. Unmute yourself.
There you go.
Got it.
Okay.
Just wanted to remind everybody that there's so many great comments in the chat room, and thank you very much. So everybody probably already knows this, but if you want to save those chat comments, just go down to the bottom where you're typing in your information. There's 3 little dots next to it. Press that and it will save your chat.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you
can
for
print out
sharing.
your chats, right? Thank you, Kay.
Carrie Harnett, unmute yourself.
Well, we'll try to do it for her.
Yeah. For some
There you
reason,
go.
I can't unmute.
No, you got it. You got it. There it
Thank
is.
you for that reminder, Kay. Where can you find them after you save them? Because I can't find mine.
They're automatically saved to your document file. It's actually underneath Zoom. So if you have any questions, call me. We need to talk anyways, Carrie. I know you're coming to San Diego, so, but yeah, so just go to your documents, save file. They're there.
Thank you. Jamie, I see we have one more.
Okay.
We're going over.
Last question.
You're unmuted.
For F&B tomorrow, do you want all voting members there, or who exactly do you want to be on tomorrow morning's F&B at 2 o'clock?
Finance and budget is invitation only.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Okay.
question.
Sam?
Sam, unmute yourself.
You know how to do this, Sam.
There you go.
There,
Go ahead, Sam.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Got
no.
muted again.
There she
Can you
goes.
hear
Go
me
ahead,
now?
Sam. Yep.
We good? I would just wanted to say to Carrie and anyone else who's interested, if you click the 3 dots, there's also an option to choose where to save the file.
Thank you for that, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Okay. I don't
Okay,
see any more questions. I think we're good.
Yep. So thank you, guys. This was part 1. I hope you got a lot out of it. We're going to send you all the notes in the tools and look forward to seeing all your bright and shining faces tomorrow for part 2.
Thank you
Local
so much
network
for your
support.
time. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, very much appreciate it.
Bye,
Take care,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.